Okay, so I'm going to do an example of how inheritance works in Java. First, I'm going to do an example of creating music in jMusic with two instruments. And then what I'll do is do the same thing, but with one class that inherits from another. I'll do the first one first, show you that, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I have a complete class with a main method that will create all the notes into phrases and then parts, and then adding them into a single score. So if I play this now, you should be able to see the score in visual form, and then you'll hear the music where you should be able to see three notes or hear three notes that are played as a drum at the same value, and then in increasing pitch, you should hear the flute at the same time. There we go. And so we have a very simple, straightforward version of this code. Okay, so let's see how we can change this from being in this form to something that's more object-oriented in terms of having inheritance. So I'm going to erase all of this, make the main method empty. And I'm going to create two more classes. One's going to be called bass music, and the other one's going to be something like flute and drums. And the bass music will just have drums in it, and then the flute and drums part will have both flutes and drums in it. And we'll get to that afterwards. So I'm going to start off with the first part of it that will only have drums in it. That will be the bass class. Okay, so now I have my bass music class, and inside it I have the add drums method, and I have a play music method. So I go into here, and I'm going to create a bass music object. Like that, with a default constructor, and then I'm going to say basic music.add drums, and then basic music.play music, like that. And just like this, I should just hear 10 beats of a drum. Okay, so nothing special. It's just the steel drum at a low pitch playing. Fantastic. All right. So now I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to create a new Java class called drums and flute, like that. And let's see, I'm going to create public add flute. Oh, no, void. I'm going to make a method here called add flute. And there we go. All right. So right here, I want to say that drums and flute is going to inherit from the bass music class through an extension. So I say extends like this, bass music, like that. So if I don't do anything beyond this, this class right here will inherit, have available to it, everything that came from bass music. And I can prove it like this. I can say, oops, drums and, come on, spell it right, drums and flute. I'm going to call it my two instruments like that is equal to new drums and flute, just like that. And then I can say my two instruments dot add drums, my two instruments dot add flute. It's not going to do anything because there's actually nothing in the add flute method right here. But I'll have that method there if I want it. And then my two instruments dot play music. So I didn't define add drums or play music methods inside of the drums and flute class, but because drums and flute class inherits from bass music, it is of that type. Okay, then I've got access to those methods. So now if I run this again, there are my drums again. So drums are available to me through the inheritance from bass music class into the drums and flute class. All right, so I'm going to stop that right there. And I'll leave this where it is right here. Now I'm going to fill this in. So what I need to do is I need to add in some notes. And I've just got some notes prepared right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say phrase So we're going to have a phrase just for the flute, and we're going to have a part just for the part. That's the flute. So flute part is equal to new part, like that. Let's take that class in. There we go. All right, so I'm going to continue. I'm just going to add 10 notes and going to add the phrase and add to the score. Here we go. All right, so now I have 10 notes added into the score. This score wasn't defined in this class right here. It was defined over in this one, the bass music class, which drums and flute inherits from. So it comes in from here. You can see I'm using it over here. It's defined right there. So in my main class, I now have my two instruments object that is based on drums and flute. So it inherits characteristics from the bass music class. And then I can both add drums from the previous class, that bass class. I can add flute from the drums and flute class. And then I can play music from that original bass class. So we're going to play it, and you'll see that there are now two instruments. So on the top here is my drum, and on the bottom you can see the flute notes that are being played, or that were played. So you can see that this is an example of inheritance where I had a bass class, I inherited something from it, and I'm able to use it in my other class. So I can keep things like the drum, which is pretty boring and ordinary and repetitive, in one of the first class, and then I can do something with flutes and guitars and other instruments that could be more varied in the class that inherits from that original bass class. And there you have it, an example of inheritance, an important concept in object-oriented programming.